Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming out to hear our speakers. There's some very good information that you're going to take away tonight. Some pretty exciting things happening in Mountain House, not the least of which is all of you. This is a great community. My name is Richard Ramirez. I'm your interim general manager, and I have the pleasure of serving the board and working with the staff and all of you while the board moves forward its agenda. Tonight we have a number of items. As I mentioned, we hope to have you out by at least 8:30 for questions. You're welcome to stay, talk with the folks at the tables. We'll have a number of tables manned, and in particular, if you have a question that we can't cover up here. So without any further hesitation, I would like to ask our president, Ms. Farron, Celeste Farron, to come forward, who will also do a short welcome and introductions.
Thank you, Rich. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mountain House. Welcome to the community meeting. I have just introduced the rest of the board of directors. If you would please stand, we have Bernice Tingle. We have Vice President Jim Lamb. And I'm not certain he'll be able to stand because of recent knee surgery, but this is our newest board member, Steve Gutierrez. And Director Andy Sue couldn't be with us tonight. So we have monthly meetings, and we welcome participation from residents on any issues, and the agendas are posted on our website, MHCSD. If you just search out MHCSD, it will come up, and you can see what's on the agenda. And if you're interested in an agenda item, please come out. Or if you just want to be involved with your community, we welcome you to come out. We have our budget workshops coming up for our budget, and we really appreciate when people come out for those, because we really, I find that this board really tries to do the bidding of the residents, and it's easier to do that when we hear from you. So please be involved with the budget workshops and which directions you would like to see it go. That's probably, I would say, the most important issue that we deal with as your representatives. So please join us in directing us on that. One of the recent issues that I wanted to bring up that we had at our last board meeting, that I'm sure many of you that have been here for a while will be glad to hear, that we are headed back to dealing with master restrictions in a more stringent manner. So we will be sending out information that we will, yes, yeah, right on. We will be sending out information that we are going to be looking at that and enforcing that with a little more enthusiasm. Your community will start looking like it used to 4 or 5 years ago, and looking, for those of you who have been here 8 years, it will be looking more like what you bought into 8 years ago. And we're looking at dealing with it eagerly, because the longer we let it go, the harder it is to bring it back. So please share that with your neighbors, anyone you can, and we will be sending email blasts out and all forms of communication that we can use. But I think the best form of communication is probably word of mouth. So share with your neighbors that if you see even a little violations, say they're going to start enforcing these, or ask them to spread the word as well. So I'm looking forward. There's a lot going on in Mountain House, and I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody tonight, especially from the development. I don't see, is Mr. T. Bose here yet? He was the developer that was going to be here. I don't see him here, or I don't see Shay Holmes here either, but in case you haven't noticed, we are building again, and we're building with a vigor. When we were at the county, I was at the county for a meeting this last week, and the county development department reported that just last month we pulled 71 permits. Yes, yeah, right on. So if you haven't been over to Cuesta lately, or even in Altamont, they're finishing up that area. Lennar is back. So I'm looking forward to seeing that neighborhood finished, and seeing all the development that's going on in Cuesta. So that's pretty exciting, and I think that it's time for me to write to the president again, because when we were in the throes of news agencies descending upon us and dubbing us the most underwater community in the United States, and all with their take on just how bad things look for us. What those news agencies missed was that in the throes of when we were in the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, we, the people, had hung in there with a great tenacity, and we still are hanging in there with a great tenacity. And I had asked the president to, if we are the worst underwater or the worst sign of the economic crash that we've had, that we're worthy of watching and keeping an eye on, because when things turn around here in Mountain House, it's going to be a great sign for the rest of the U.S. economy as well. And things have turned around here. So if you want to join me and write your own letter to the president, I think the more attention that we get, the better for the development of Mountain House and the better for us to move things along. So without further ado, I would like to hand this back over to our interim general manager, Rich Marius.
We have a slight change in the agenda. We are very fortunate tonight to have with us Tony Wong, who's the senior field representative for Assembly Member Eggman, 13th District. We are now in the 13th District. And so, Tony, if you'd come forward and say a few words and introduce yourself once again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramirez. Again, as Mr. Ramirez said, my name is Tony Wong. I'm here on behalf of Assembly Member Susan Eggman, who could not be here tonight. Mountain House has the benefit of having been redistricted when the state of California redistricted last year and set up new assembly districts. Mountain House is no longer in a district with the cities to your west. You're now in a district with Tracy and a district with Stockton, and a district that is completely within San Joaquin County, which serves better the interests of everyone involved, in my opinion. Assemblymember Eggman was a former city council member for the city of Stockton and is now your assembly member here in Mountain House, and we're doing all our very best efforts to reach out. Mr. Ramirez didn't mention, but we have done our very best to try and set up communities office hours here, and in the near future, hopefully in April, we will be coming here. The assembly member and staff will be here on a regular basis, once a month at the very least, and maybe more often, setting up in one of the facilities here in Mountain House, regular office hours, so folks that have needs and have issues with the state of California don't have to come all the way out to Stockton in order to either get assistance or to voice their opinion about what's going on in Sacramento. I did bring a stack of business cards, and so if anyone here in Mountain House has any issues or any problems with the state of California, I'm happy to assist. I'm happy to reach out, and if I can't find solutions, perhaps one of my colleagues will be able to do so. But just to let you all know that Mountain House, while you are a small community, you're definitely not forgotten. We're going to value everyone here and the opinions and the problems here as well. So we look forward to working with everyone here. Again, thank you very much, Rich.
Tony has agreed to stick around, man a table, and answer any questions. The offer that the Assemblywoman is presenting to have office hours here is really a rich opportunity for the community. So we'll get the word out when they're here. We'll send out an email blast. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. Our next speaker is Scott Terrell, who is the aide to Bob Elliott, 5th District Supervisor, our new 5th District Supervisor. Let's give a welcome to Scott.
Evening, everybody. I am the legislative aide to Supervisor Bob Elliott, newly elected and sworn in January 7th. And just wanted to get in front of you tonight. It's an honor to be here on behalf of Supervisor Elliott. Unfortunately, he's in Sacramento. He's for 2 days of meetings. It was already scheduled. So he's going to be spending the night in our capital tonight. But he regrets missing the opportunity to speak with all of you tonight, and asked me to share just a few things with you about what's going on with the county, or at the county level. One of those items is the general plan, the San Joaquin County General Plan update. You may have heard or read about it recently, and just wanted to let you know this past week and next week is the main topic before the Board of Supervisors. Some of the projects being discussed are directly related to Mountain House, and you can watch the proceedings at our county website, sjgov.org. That's sjgov.org. You can watch those next Tuesday. And if you have any questions, you can reach me at 468-0181, 468-0181. The other big item that we have going on at the county level is the Affordable Care Act implementation, otherwise Medi-Cal expansion. And this is commonly known as Obamacare, or part thereof. Parts of the new law have been slowly being implemented over the last couple of years, and the biggest impacts will be realized next year in 2014. And Supervisor Elliott is the county's representative to the California State Association of Counties, which is also known as CSAC. And through CSAC, there are 58 counties that have been collaborating with the state on the Medi-Cal expansion and how to make that happen. There's some debate between the state saying the county should handle it, and the counties are saying no, the state should handle it. So we'll see where that goes. As you can imagine, many details are still being ironed out, and hopefully we'll get that. That's one of the topics that Supervisor Elliott is in Sacramento today discussing as well. So anyhow, those are just a couple of the items that the supervisor asked me to share with you, and it certainly was an honor to have this opportunity to share them with you tonight on behalf of Supervisor Bob Elliott. Have a good evening.
I'd like to repeat the fact that Supervisor Elliott really wanted to be here tonight. The fact that he is representing as a freshman supervisor CSAC, which is the countywide county organization, pretty significant. It's one of those under the radar kinds of actions that take place behind the scenes. So that's really great for 5th District. At this point, we have our Superintendent of Schools, Dale Hansen, who's going to come up and talk about some construction projects.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Ramirez, and the directors for inviting the school district to share a few words with what's happening currently. It's a great opportunity for me to brag about what I think is one of the strongest school districts in the state. Couple items that, just statistics I'd like to share with you. I've been here for 4.5 years, and we've grown over 1,000 students. We're right around 2,500 students right now. This school opened up 2.5 years ago. We had 350 students. We project with the growth in Cuesta, this school will open up over 800. It's built to hold max 950 students. So we've had an aggressive plan in the works for 4 years, a facility plan for this community that I'm really proud that is coming to fruition. And so I came when everything was kind of like Celeste has said, in the dumps, and people were criticizing this community, and my wife asked, what did you get into? And so, but I have seen the surge, I've seen the resilience of the community members here, and I've seen the education community step up, and it's really proud to be part of this as we recover. So with that rapid growth, we put a plan together, and the first thing in the plan when I came here was, you need to unify the district. We need our high school. We need something in this community to solidify the community. So the first thing we did was we unified the district, and that allowed us to start the process of developing our own high school. Second thing is we had a delay on the Altamont school, but we needed facilities because we were starting to grow, and we built the Cuesta school here, like I said, 2.5 years ago. During that time, we were designing the Altamont school, and that's moving forward, and I'll talk about that in a second. The other need that I saw here was facilities for 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, preschool centers. And I'm proud to say that we're doing the punch list next week on 4 classrooms over here for a preschool center. And then we're going to open a preschool center June 2014 at the Altamont site with 4 more classrooms. It is not the responsibility of a district to do preschool, but I think it's our responsibility. The state doesn't say you have to have it, but I think it's our responsibility to put a preschool center together. We need to start with early diagnosis to support students' needs. We need to start doing it at our school sites. And so I'm really happy to let you know that this will be opening up for a summer program, and then it will also be started for school next year. And then June 2014, we're opening the one at Altamont. We'll be moving forward with that preschool center. So with that, I got a couple slides for you tonight. This is Mountain House High School. We have $8 million under the ground, so for the last 6 months, people have been saying, what's going on out there with all the infrastructure? But on the right-hand side, that's our main gymnasium. Time of the picture is about 12 or 15 feet high with block, and that's moving. You'll see it going up over the next couple weeks. The lower part right here is what we call the first wing of classrooms in our administration building. When you drive up to the school, you'll have the administration building, and there's 26 classrooms in this building right here. This is the design of the starter high school. It's not all going to be completed on June 2014. But what's going to be completed is, you see A, that's where you saw the steel structure. That's the front of the school. C is the cafeteria. D is the big and large and small gyms. And while this is opening up, we have plans for E, which is the voc ed, F is more classrooms, and G, the library. They will not quite be finished when the school opens up, but the structures will be there. We'll be finishing the internal parts for it. This is right over here, the preschool center. Like I said, we're doing a final punch on that to open up this summer. 4 classrooms across the front of the preschool center here, and it'll be connected with the Cuesta campus. And this is Altamont. Hopefully, we're breaking ground on Altamont April, and that is also scheduled to open June of 2014, same time the high school opens. It's built for 850 students, and as you heard earlier tonight, just about completed, the homes will be completed by then in Altamont community, all the single-family homes. And so we're ready to go with that. And we didn't have enough on our plate. We just hired an architect, and we're starting to design Neighborhood C. And so one of the things that school districts need to do is get in line for the state matching funds. The sooner you get in line, it's first in, first out. So we want to get Neighborhood C, it's not even named yet, Neighborhood C into the state architect. And so we get in line for the next series of state construction funds. I think that's all I have. I was over at Bethany the other day, and one of the students says, Mr. Hanson, I haven't seen you all year. And I said, well, I've been kind of busy, keeping up with some of these things. But there's a couple things that we're going to need the community support. Last night, the school board gave me directions to start a 5-year strategic plan. And so in a month or two, you're going to be hearing from us that we want community members to be involved in it. I believe in vision setting. We set a vision 4 years ago, and this is what you get. If you have your eye on the end there, and we need to do it again, and we need to have a vision on our education presentation, and we need to have a vision on our facilities and what we're providing for the community. So if you are available, we're going to be asking the citizens here to participate in the strategic plan. We are also going to ask the community to support our students, and March 4th through the 8th, you'll have an opportunity to vote for the mascot and the colors of Mountain House High School. Building the high school is easy. Picking a mascot is going to be the hardest thing we're going to do. And so that's going to be online. We're going to take the community vote. The students obviously are going to vote. And then we have a committee of students and parents and representatives that will narrow it down, and then we'll send it back out, and then we'll present it to the school board. And so that's exciting. And mascot was named mascot, so the name will change with the mascot that we select for the high school. So with that, if you have any questions, I think, yes? Preschool or for the school?
It's my sense that a lot of the people who live in this community are also commuters, so that's the challenge that I know I have to face.
Extended day programs?
And the day
Well, currently, we had to, 3 years ago, was the worst crisis budget for the education along with everybody else. We reduced that, but we're increasing the scope. We have athletics for the older kids right now in the elementary schools, but we also have art programs that some students have signed up for, and we're looking to increase those. But unfortunately, you keep the core going and you cut the perimeter. We're hoping to expand that out in the future, and that's a real good question. And some of the questions I've been asked, not only facilities, but what are you doing for preschool and what are you doing after school? And so that would be a great part of our strategic plan for the future as a priority, and I would hope that would be brought to the attention of the school board. All right, thank you.
I mentioned that both Scott and Dale are going to be able to stick around, so if you feel a little bashful right now about asking questions, you can meet with them afterwards. I'm sure there'll be things that'll come up that you'll want to talk with them about. Next, we have future development projects. And unfortunately, we do not have our developer representatives. However, we do have the opportunity to at least share a couple of things with you. When you look back at 2010, as a number of the speakers, especially the presidents, pointed out, things weren't too good here. They weren't too good anywhere. And the projections at that time said that, you know, life was not going to get better until 2014. Now, for a lot of people, we're still hurting. Some people are still struggling with their mortgage and what have you, but it is turning around. And the fact that President Farron pointed out that we had how many? Over 70 new building permits this month alone is a real indication that the economy is picking up. And as that economy picks up, there'll be other opportunities, not only in our community, but in other communities. And so, even though the developer representatives are not here, if you do have a couple of development questions between staff, we can try to answer them. So, Morgan, you want to come a little closer? Any questions of staff regarding development questions? When are we going to get a grocery store? I missed my calling. I should have. Yeah. You know, market. When you look at retail is driven by, as many of you have already heard, a number of factors. There's been a term kicked around here that is, well, when we get the 4,000 rooftops or 5,000 rooftops. The reality is, it's all about the demographics within a particular area that will drive the decision when a store will come. And I've worked in communities that really wanted a Trader Joe's, that really wanted a Nordstrom's, that really wanted a Rayleigh's or a Safeway. Unfortunately, until that economic dynamic can change, which it is changing, that's when that'll happen. So I can't give you a date. I wouldn't even say at 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 rooftops, because a lot of it depends on the disposable income of those areas. And you're rich, poor pun intended, you're better off than most because of that, because this is a community that has a good, solid economic base. So with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague here who might want to echo some of my remarks and add to them.
My name is Morgan Gruber. I'm the neighborhood administrator and the development coordinator for Mountain House. If you have any questions, I'm the next on the agenda. I was a little bit disappointed because I'm supposed to follow all the politicians, and I shouldn't even be speaking for another half an hour. So I'm not really prepared, but if you do have any development questions, I'll do whatever I can to help answer that. If I will be here after as well, so if anyone wants to come up and talk to me about it, I'd be more than happy to discuss any of those issues. On here now, Mountain House 101, what we probably haven't done as well as we could do, we being Mountain House CSD, the employees there, is there are a few things that we haven't communicated to the public. A lot of you people are new, so some of this may be new information for you. And what we have tried to do is start picking out some things that might be what should be reasonable, good information for new people to move to town, and perhaps if we haven't communicated this well to you in the past, getting that information to you now. And one of the big things that is always a question is Mountain House is not a city. Mountain House is not incorporated under the laws in the state of California that determine what a city does. The Mountain House is a community services district. Those laws, original ones were early on, but they were mostly solidified in 2005. And what it does is the county in this instance has established a services community or services district to provide specific services for a community. So whereas a city, you can be three different kinds of cities, which you don't need to know and I won't go into. But each of them has specific laws that they have to follow that's under the government code. And the CSDs, each CSD, Community Service District, is set up to do specific things. For instance, there are Community Services District in the state of California where all they do is run cemeteries. So they buy the water, mow the lawn, things like that. There are community service districts that all they do is fire. There are community service districts that are set up once a need has been established, and secondly, and probably more importantly, where a reliable funding source is there for the ongoing operation of that service district. Now, when Mountain House CSD, Community Service District, was incorporated, these up here, these are the powers that were invested, not invested, in Mountain House Community Service District. Those are the powers that we have. And if you run through these, some of these are really pretty self-evident. Water, anyone want to go take a tour of the water treatment plant, give me a call. I got business cards here, we'll take you out and do that. We have actually a pretty sophisticated system. For instance, the city of Stockton built their water treatment plant in 1920 or something like that, and have been cobbling things together since then. We were fortunate, we built our water treatment plant in 2005. It's a pretty cool thing. Well, if you're an engineer, it's a cool thing. If you're not, it may not be. Yes, ma'am.
It's wireless, Morgan. It's wireless.
Okay. All right, so I get to do something with my hands. There we go. Okay. We also treat the sewage, and again, we have a very nice sewage treatment plant, state of the art. As a matter of fact, we discharge permit from the state of California. Those things run about 5 years, and they take about a year and a half to negotiate with the state, and we finished that project, and actually because our plant operates so well, we were able to take a lot of the requirements from our old permit and get rid of them, and so we're actually looking at some minor savings out at the operation of the treatment plant under the new permit. We do garbage service as everyone else in this area. We actually contract that out. We do public recreation. At this point in time, we provide parks in every community. We have the neighborhood park. Hopefully at some point in time, we'll have a Parks and Recs, but we're still, that's one of the things as we grow, we'll have more revenue for those sorts of things. Street lighting, I know that's been a big issue lately. Yes, we are in charge of street lighting, and actually I think today on the website, someone actually got a street light changed in a day. So kudos to the maintenance department for actually getting that done. Library services, and we have the library people back here, and they're going to talk, and they'll be here actually for you to ask questions of as well. A big thing that people may not even think about is converting all the overhead power lines to underground. And if you look, we're almost done with that. If you drive along Byron Highway, Grant Line Road, there's still some more of that sort of thing to do, but eventually all that stuff's going to go underground. We have LT George here today. We do police service, we contract with that, and the guys that are in charge of our area are going to talk to you today. We do road maintenance. That was generally one of the big ticket items in the budget every year. Transportation services, graffiti abatement. The same people that change the street lights, if you call them and let them know there's graffiti in your area, will go out and make sure that graffiti is taken away. CC&R enforcement, and I know that President Farron discussed that that's going to be changing in the near future. That'll be me, so I'll be involved with that. Flood control protection, which is kind of cool. Pest and weed abatement, wildlife habitat, telecommunication service, and dissemination of information. Now, getting to your question, one of the things that we don't have the power to do is we don't have discretionary land use authority. That's still with the county. So it is actually illegal for Mountain House Community Service District to have anything to do with planning future commercial or industrial projects. That is solely a function of the developers in town and the county administration. So we can't do what you want to hear about is plan for commercial. However, the master plan that was put together has actually a very rigorous jobs to population ratio. So eventually we're going to have 10,000 jobs at a minimum in Mountain House, but that's all a construct of what Mr. Ramirez was talking about, the demographics as things happen and develop in this area that will drive the commercial. Right now, there is no real steam in that engine for driving that commercial. We get people that are starting to come in to the CSD and want to talk about how they can set up, McDonald's at the freeway. Everyone wants a McDonald's at the freeway. McDonald's at a gas station, right, at the freeway. We get people come in and kick those tires from time to time, and we sit down and walk them through the process that they have to go through. But ultimately, they have to go make a deal with the people that own the land, the developers there. All we can do is tell them what their fees would be if they came in. We can't encourage them to come in that regard. So if you can, I don't know, if you came from San Jose or if you came from somewhere else, you think of the city as doing a great many things, and if you look at what a city does, the list would be a lot longer than this list. I'm actually, what I'm trying to do with this talk is to kind of get a picture in everyone's head of the powers that we do have, because we at the CSD, all of us would like to make you as comfortable as possible within the powers that we do have to actually exercise. But the communication, and that's one of the things that we're trying to get better at, the communication has to be between us so that you know what those powers are, so that when you call me, you have a realistic expectation that I can do something. I mean, I know a lot of the people here tonight. They call me, I get up and I go do something for them. That's how most of the CSD employees actually want to do things. Sometimes we're constrained. Sometimes we have to say no. And that's always disappointing when you have to tell someone no. So what we're going to be having in the future, not just functions like this, but others, but we're going to be discussing what our limitations are and what our powers are, what we can do and what we can't do. And tonight's kind of the first example of that. I think I've used up at least one of the politicians' time as well as my own. We're still a little bit ahead of schedule, but I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has about any of this. All right, sir.
Hang on, let me mic to you.
I just want to speak about the transportation service. Is there any plan on us having some type of transportation service from Mountain House to Tracy
There-
for some of the people that have no cars so that they can get to some of these vital areas. I talked with Tracy, the tracer. They said that AC Transit has this area here at Mountain House. Does AC Transit have anything in the future on getting some type of transportation?
We recently had transportation to both BART in Dublin and the mall in Tracy. There's two different buses running. One went over to the to Dublin, and one was picking up over by the Wickland Market and driving to, a couple of times a day to the mall. Whereas in Tracy, once you get to the mall, you can pick up a bus and go anywhere in the county. Unfortunately, the ridership in that was not enough to make them economically viable. There was some discussion of how we could fix that, and we have not been able to come up with a way to fix that at this point in time. Everyone is very concerned. For instance, we've got the community college now. We've got, 4,000 or 5,000 kids going to community college now. There should be, there's a big draw from Tracy. There should be people, going at least to the community college in between Tracy. We're aware of that. We're working with the transit companies, but what we have to do is they have, for the runs that they had, there was some state funding to set up test runs, and if they became economically viable, to continue those runs, and they just did not support themselves, so they stopped. And you still have the microphone?
Okay, my understanding is that the only transportation that we had was AC Transit from Mountain House to BART. That was it.
Okay, well, I actually obtained the the bus outlet to get to the mall, and there was a sign over there for a while that said bus stop, and it did go to the mall where you could pick up a bus and go anywhere else. So it did not go, actually I think, yeah, it did. No, it went there. It did not go down to the community college. It just went to the mall at that location. We've been talking about this for a long time. And let me expand this a little bit. In the master plan, we have a train station that is supposed to be over by where the train cars are sitting now, that will take you out to the Bay Area. We have bus stops that are planned all throughout the city. So all of that's in the master plan, but it gets back again to the demographics that Mr. Ramirez talked about again. We only had 6 people riding in the bus, and so that was not generating enough to keep a 40-passenger bus operating.